Great. That is our time to get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to day 3 of the Teams in AI Inspiration Week. I'm Jess, a program project manager at Teams in AI, and I will be your moderator for this evening. Throughout this week, we've been treated to some truly inspiring talks by speakers such as Ingo Keller, Robbie Stamp, and Naomi Webster, covering topics ranging from SDG 4 and 5 to artificial intelligence. Today, our focus will shift towards the intersection of SDG 3, good health and well-being, and career inspiration. Here to inspire us about good health and well-being, I would like to welcome our first speaker of today's session, Rainier Mallol. Rainier, a Dominican-born telematics engineer and alumni of both Harvard and Singularity University at NASA, is an acclaimed innovator recognized by Forbes 30 Under 30 and MIT Innovator Under 35. As a co-founder of Hyatt, he revolutionizes public health with AI. He's also a serial entrepreneur passionate about customer experience innovation. Beyond his impressive professional pursuits, Rainier also possesses a creative side, channeling his innovative spirit into exploring photography and film in his free time. Today, Rainier will share his insights on SDG 4, good health and well-being. He'll share the fascinating story of how he and Hyatt are harnessing the power of AI to revolutionize public health, showcasing his company's groundbreaking contributions within the world of healthcare. Prepare to be inspired by Rainier's insights into the innovative AI applications that are transforming global health and well-being for the better. Welcome, Rainier. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Jess, for that great introduction. Everyone, happy that you are here. Happy to be here myself. Let me just share my screen really quick. Sorry, can you please stop sharing? Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, as I was saying, especially because honestly, to everyone who is attending, I think you guys are way ahead of where I was in your age. When I heard this was a conference to be given to teens, I was number one excited and number two amazed. I love that teens today have this desire to know how to change the world, and why not through technology, which is my focus since the past 10 years basically. So thank you so much for your attention. I'm gonna make this very quick but also insightful presentation with the goals to show you how not only tech, but I would say willpower and knowledge of our systems, our health systems, can actually impact and can actually drive change. So Jess did an amazing presentation, talking about myself. I'm not gonna go into that much more in depth, just that I'm also happy that we are talking about SDGs. I was sort of like an ambassador for the SDGs by the UN, and I had the honor to also talk with different teams around the world. And it never ceases to amaze me the power that the youth has. I'm not that old, but I'm definitely not as young as a teen anymore. And honestly, you guys rock. First for being here and for trying to understand how to improve, these collective ecosystems that we live in. So today, of course, I'm going to talk about AI. It's my background, but I'm going to talk about AI from the lens of SDG 3, which is focused on health and well-being, as you probably know, and how can we actually improve our health systems and improve our well-being, save lives, reduce burden of disease, reduce mortality, and whatnot through the use of AI. I usually start talking about AI. I'm not going to do that now because I assume most of you are versed with it by now. I just want to say that to me, AI technology are just means to an end and never ends by themselves. If you are thinking about working in AI or starting your own startup focused on AI, please do not start the startup thinking about using AI. Think about solving a problem, solving an issue, improving certain outcomes, and let then the problem reveal to you what AI can do to solve it. Don't put the AI first, because then you will have a hard time actually achieving and improving the metrics that you want to actually change. With that being said, SDG 3 gives us a myriad of indicators and targets. Here are just a few. the very first ones that you can find in the UN website. And about everything else, this goal is very close to my heart. My mom is a doctor here in the Dominican Republic. My family is also a family of doctors, but I always joke around with them saying that I have saved more lives than they ever have and ever will, because I have been working with technology and reaching many, many more people than they could ever possibly be doing by themselves. Of course, it's not a competition. Everyone does their best. And if it were not for them and for the knowledge and for the academics that they read and all that previous knowledge, AI would not exist today. So at least health applications of AI. So with that being said, I also want to introduce a new term that I think is critical for this SDG to be achieved, and that is health systems. So basically, health in itself is not the responsibility of an individual or an enterprise or even a government. They all become part of a system, a health system, if you will. So I define it here as the organization of people, institutions, and resources that deliver healthcare services to meet health needs of target populations. That basically means the combination of practitioners, insurers, pharmaceutical companies, medical devices companies, even entrepreneurs like the ones that focus on health. All of them play a role, and it is together that the SDG 3 can be achieved. It's very important to understand that health is inundated, it's burst, it's accumulated by very talented people, doctors who have spent a quarter of their years, of their living years, just studying and making sure that they provide the best care. But it's not only doctors. We also have insurers, we also have pharma companies, we also have NGOs, and we must consider the whole when we're talking about health. Even if we're only focusing on a healthcare device, a medical device, we must also understand how this impacts, not only the person, the citizen that that device will work on, but also the insurer, the pharma companies, how it will affect them. Because one thing that I have learned working in healthcare is that you must be a leader. You cannot be a boss. You cannot enter this market in particular trying to be, the best of the best, because the culture itself will push you out. You must find ways to be the best leader, and that's where you can shine. People will then reveal their problems, will reveal their expectations, and will actually reveal what you must do in order to improve their lives. And studies have also shown that even simple things like increased efficiency in the ER can lead to tumultuous change on the long run, like saving more lives and saving resources. Here it's also important that I mentioned resources. Usually healthcare, even though has been provided with a lot of funds, they usually go through diseases like cancer or diabetes. Literature calls them rich man disease. I think that is outdated by now, but the reality is that a lot of investment has been passed for the past years and the past decades actually has been on those areas. And it is only now, due to COVID, that we're also thinking about our systems as a whole. Or at least I wouldn't say thinking, but investing in our systems. And in order to understand this in a much better way, I like to show the building blocks. These are pillars that the WHO, the World Health Organization, which I'm sure you know is part of the UN, has established in order to understand a health system. And even though I'm not going to touch on all of them, I think this slide right here, if you're focused on health, can give you a nice structure, framework of analysis, and position yourself on where you want to actually change the world. Of course, you may choose more than one, as I did, but throughout the presentation today, I will show you how my company, Hayat, is actually impacting each of these building blocks differently. Basically, this allows us to understand how the health system works and the things that we must do to guarantee improved health, responsiveness, social and financial risk protection, and improve efficiency of our services. With that being said, let me just show you now what we have been doing in each of these blocks, actually in 3 of them, through my company and of course through AI. And I think you will be pleased to see how something as innovative as tech can actually take a while to be implemented, but once it does, it has tremendous results. It has very good outcomes. So this is my company, Hayat. I've been working in it for the past 7 years. It used to be called AIME. Now we changed it to Hayat. It means life, basically. And we started being AI and epidemiology company. But since last year, when we rebranded, we are now a health tech company because we lacked understanding of the health systems that I just presented to you. Meaning we're focusing only on a very specific pillar, on a very specific target. And at the moment when we began back in 2016, I would say I was not as experienced as I am today, and I did not understand the complexities of the system. But with time, with effort, and with perseverance, we understood that, this ecosystem that we're focusing on is not going to be a unicorn a startup. It's not going to be a company that grows rapidly, but it will be a zebra. It's a company that will grow consistently and gradually over time. And for us, growth means impact. It means more projects, more people that get benefited from the tech that we deploy, and better health outcomes. For us, improving or developing a technology means getting closer to SDG 3. It means getting closer to achieving that goal. With that being said, let me just go here. I will first focus on service delivery. This is the most recent technology that we have deployed, and it's on identifying NCDs, or non-communicable diseases. Basically, these are diseases that are not infectious. They are not COVID, they are not dengue, they are like diabetes, cancer, and others that cannot be transmitted from any way. Something that you cannot infect others if you have it, basically. And there is a big issue with NCDs around the world. We're focusing on Malaysia, basically. That's where my co-founder is from. Selangor is the biggest state in Malaysia, and it's also the state where the capital is located. But the issue is that even though the government introduces operations, workshops in how to prevent NCDs, which basically boils down to actually going to the doctor and checking, like going every year and check how you're doing. There is an issue because people don't really go to these profiling. They don't go to these tests. They say they are too busy, and they simply do not go. They don't see the value of it, because something that you will see working in health is that usually companies or people do not invest in prevention. They use funds, they use their time when something is a little bit too late. Maybe when you have an affection, when you're actually sick. But prevention is very, very hard to get people to win over. It's not the easiest thing to sell, even though it is the most logical one. So due to this, that people are actually checking their health constantly, or regularly, I would say, actually. You go and meet people that have diabetes, have cancer, and they do not know, sadly, until it is too late. So what we did was, okay, we got access to Selangor health office. They explained to us this problem. And of course, we know it a bit because my co-founder is a medical doctor, but they gave us access. And in healthcare, when you're not working in medical devices, the most difficult thing to achieve is getting access to actually deploying your projects. But they did give us access, and they say, what can we do? And let me tell you that it's the best question you can receive when you're an entrepreneur working in health, because then you can propose ideas, you can showcase different models, you can explain research. And this magical thing happens when you actually coordinate with the government, coordinate with the private sector, coordinate within in your own company, and you ideate something that is really valuable or that has the potential of being very valuable. So what we did was we developed a technology which allows citizens to do a pre-check, a medical pre-check online. Basically, you answer a few questions. It is, I think, a 12 questionnaire, a 12 item questionnaire. And using that information that they input into questionnaire and using AI to analyze trends in healthcare based on family history, based on certain indicators such as where the person lives, what the person works in and whatnot, we're able to do a profiling of people. And we tell them if the algorithm says so, to check themselves to go to the doctor because they are likely to suffer from a disease for which they have not been diagnosed with yet. Think about maybe a person that has diabetes but doesn't know it. Maybe they have cancer and they do not know it. So what this tells you is you should go and check yourself. You should go and do a medical, checkup. And here's the money. So it is a subsidy. So number one, we proactively send you a notification through email or through the state app, which they have. And number two, if you are the one that is likely to have that disease, then we also give you the money to actually go and do the checkup for free. We also schedule it for you. So we make it as easy as possible for people to go and check. And this was done for 6 months last year, actually in 2023, last year. And we had tremendous results. The one that I'm most proud about is 81,415 screenings. This made history in Malaysia. No program had achieved this attendance rate, these screening registrations. And the attendance rate was 67%, which is, I think, the second largest ever. The first one was one in which the government spent 7 times more money in marketing than in this project. And we identified a lot of people that had diseases that were not previously identified with. So 1,700 had abnormal readings. 34% of the attendees were diagnosed with diabetes, 49 with some kind of kidney illness. So this is, the impact that your tech can have. Basically, you try to change the paradigm. You make people feel that they can do this in a very convenient way, because let's face it, going to the doctor will take you at least 2 hours. You have to go there, you have to wait, then you do the checkup, then they talk to you. At least in Malaysia. I may not know how it is in other countries, but even in my own country, going to the doctor is a 2 to 3 hour affair. And some of these people, cannot afford to actually go to the doctor as well. So we try to build a comprehensive solution that not only uses the tech is just a part of it, it's just a mean to an end, but that also is able to make life as convenient as possible and to achieve our goals as conveniently as possible. Going forward, now I'm going to show 2 more. Number 2 is a health information system solution, which is about dengue fever. For those of you who do not know, as I did not know a few years ago, dengue fever is a disease that impacts billions of lives every year. The average is around 7 billion per year. And of those, about 2% of those affected die. We're talking about hundreds of thousands per year. And basically, it is a disease transmitted by a mosquito. It's called Aedes aegypti. And basically what it does is that the mosquito bites you, infects you, and then it bites someone else and infects you. And even, let's say you have the disease, a mosquito that doesn't carry the disease bites you, then they can actually infect other people just because they bite you that you had it before. And the issue with dengue and other diseases such as this one is that even though we have good mechanisms to actually kill the mosquito and avoid the spread of the disease, their effectiveness gets, let's say, reduced. It is not as effective because poor planification, poor planning, actually. Basically, what that means is that, okay, you have resources maybe to, insecticide a whole country, but that is poor planning because you should focus on the areas that actually have the biggest risk of having the mosquitoes in. So what we built was a dengue prediction engine that lets people know where to fumigate, where to act. And the way that it works is that for every case of dengue that is input into the system, we collect an enormous amount of data. This is technical work, this is engineering work, weather data, geographic data, socioeconomic data. And with that, we come up with dashboards like this one, in which, number one, you can understand what is going on with the disease. This is in Malaysia, in a state called Penang, which is at the north, is the most touristic state in the country. And these blue dots here are cases, people that were afflicted, and the red ones that you're gonna see in a moment are outbreaks. And the blinking ones that you will see in the next few seconds are predictions. So instead of fumigating the whole state, they can now focus on these ones that are blinking. And this saves millions of ringgit, which is the national currency of Malaysia. And not only that, but it also makes them way more effective. And the biggest results of this, my biggest, I would say, proud moment implementing this is that even though at the time of implementation, the country was experiencing an uptake in dengue cases, Penang actually saw a reduction. So for the first time in its history, Penang was actually becoming safer in terms of dengue as the rest of the country became worse. This, of course, opened the doors. From this pilot, we moved into other states in the country. And also we got some street cred, as some of you may call it, to actually implement it for the private sector that for them is interesting because, let's say, insurance doesn't like to spend money on dengue. I mean, insurance doesn't like to invest money at all. Their business is not spending money actually. But with this, they could, formulate and help the government to actually curb the disease. So again, talking about the system as a whole, not only the government or the citizen, but the whole system, the whole health system. And finally, for the last part of the presentation, I'm going to talk about patient engagement, which is the latest block that is being analyzed, and the last one that was introduced after I changed in the building blocks. And patient engagement refers about how patients feel when they're being taken care of. I call it patient experience. Being akin to customer experience, it's the same thing, patient experience and patient engagement. Basically, PX or patient engagement is the sum of all interactions that a patient experiences in their lifetime. So when I go to the hospital, that is an interaction. When I go to the site of the hospital to book an appointment, that is also an interaction. When the doctor checks on me, that is an interaction. When the nurses take care of me, that is also an interaction. When I receive an email with the results of the diagnosis, that is also an interaction. And the big idea here is that if you improve those interactions, if you make them better, if patients feel well and heard and taken care of, then the outcomes will be better. And recent research has shown exactly that. When you provide a good experience for your patients, they will improve the receptivity to the indications that the doctor give them. The hospital will be safer, will be cleaner. The stays will be shorter, and you will have lower admission rates. So we're talking about here that if patients feel happy, the system will be more cost effective because the patients will be healthier. So just taking care of your patients is one of the biggest trends in healthcare for the next years. I know it's something that may be obvious, but what has changed is that now we have ways to measure all of this, thanks to technology such as AI, which of course is what I'm going to show you today. So I think my time is almost over, but I have a few more minutes, so let me just take my time for that. What we did was build this platform called PX, in which I know not the most innovative name of all, but basically it does 5 steps. Number one, it extracts information from the patient, and this is HIPAA compliant. So, we're okay with security and compliance. We capture information from different sources, social networks, calls, interactions, emails, texts, review platforms. And then we use AI to actually analyze all of these interactions. So if a patient complains that the doctor treated them in not the best manner, that is analyzed by an AI and is checked. If a person says that the nurses treated them very, very well, that is also checked by an AI. And this AI does two things. It identifies topics. In this example, we're talking about a hotel, which is swimming pools and maintenance and perception. But it could also be about a hospital, about the rooms, about the treatment, about the cost of the treatment, about many, many different things. Then, basically, we analyze the whole experience from the moment that the people go to the website until they receive an ongoing care. If it's an outpatient or inpatient, we have different metrics for both, and even for tests. So sometimes you go to the doctor just to do a quick checkup test, like a blood test. Even that is being measured and being analyzed, just with the focus on making the experience as better as it can be. And what happens is that we use AI once again to come up with improvement plans. Number one, to prioritize what needs to be done in order to provide the best experience. And number two, to actually summarize what's going on, to make sense of the voice of the patient, to understand what the patients are saying. And in upcoming months, we will also be implementing on the voice of the health practitioners. So nurses and doctors will also be able to provide their feedback for the organizations in the health system to actually understand what their most important critical mass, which are their patients saying and expecting. Because if we align what patients want with what we can provide, I assure you experience will be improved. And as I mentioned, a good patient experience yields great health outcomes. And thanks to this, we can now measure all of that. So this is my latest project. Is one that is being now in the midst of implementation. So sorry, I don't have impact yet on this one. But from what we have heard already, hospitals are very happy to have this, because for the first time, they can actually tackle what patients are saying, they can understand it, and they can actually have it in a single location. It is convenient, right? It is not only about, oh, I told the receptionist about an issue, or I called for an issue there. No, it's that I have a platform that proactively goes to me, tells me what the expectations of my patients are, and provides me with examples of what I could do to actually improve it. So with that being said, I think this is the last part of the presentation. I'm happy, actually expecting to get some questions. And here how QR, if you could, just give me some feedback of the presentation, that would be really appreciated. And here I also leave my email and my phone number, just in case you want to reach out to me as well. So thank you. And I think, Jess, it goes to you now.
Great. Thank you so much, Rainier. That was incredible. And I think coming from a country where our healthcare is struggling quite a lot, to see the systems that are being brainstormed and thought of is really exciting. And I hope that your system and your platform will change the outcome of healthcare forever. That's really amazing. Just a question before we kick off our questions coming through on YouTube and through here. I would just like to open the floor for questions. So if any of you have questions, please add them to our Q&A section or raise your hand if you wish to talk. But a question from my side, with the increasing concerns about AI ethics and bias, in your opinion, how can we ensure that the tools that you're using and that hospitals are used responsibly within healthcare?
That is a great question. And the good thing is that it has been taught before by people that have much more experience than I have. And basically, what they recommend is following up with compliance certifications. So HIPAA, for example, is very exhaustive, very comprehensive. And HIPAA, if you follow it in detail, will tell you exactly what needs to be done in order for the information to be secured and in order for it to be used in a manner that will not provide any negative effect on our well-being or expectations. Some things are very technical, but for example, one of the things that we do is that our databases are in the hospital. They do not leave the data doesn't leave the hospital. We have the most secure access mechanisms that we could have potentially, and this is all explained in detail with HIPAA. There are things that take more effort, of course, more investment, but I think it is an investment that is worth doing. Honestly, dealing with health, these are very serious and personal issues, for every individual, and we must always have the utmost respect of this information. Also, it could also be used, in very negative ways and forms. So my answer, which is not the most, I would say, attractive one, but I know it's the most valuable one, but just because more people have studied it before me, is that if you follow a standards such as HIPAA, HIPAA, you will have a good chance, or actually the best chance to have a compliant, secure information that no one else will have access to, not even other models of AI, and then you will provide the best experience to your clients and patients.
Thank you so much. I see we have a hand raised from Dave. So Dave, I'm going to allow you to talk in 1 second. You should be able to talk.
Well, thank you for that. That was very inspiring. I work in Canada and have a children's group where Sick Kids Hospital, a hospital for children, approached us for an exercise, and we're now working with them on patient experience for children. This is all new to us. I'm not medically experienced, and hearing what you've done is great inspiration. That focusing on child experience is the way to go, and I'll tell our kids this, and they'll be very excited. I'm specifically interested in examples of where patient experience resulted in improvements.
First of all, Dave, that's great. Honestly, I admire your work. Working with children is a very rewarding experience, of course, but it's also very challenging. They may not have still the skills to communicate what they're feeling, and to know that you're working on patient experience, which is an area that such heavily relies on feedback and on understanding patients. First, I congratulate you for that. And yeah, I can send you the papers that talk about patient experience outcomes. But basically, if I may, they just boil down to understanding patients. You may have different patients come from different backgrounds. Even though you cannot maybe, let's say, fulfill every promise, you can definitely fulfill expectations, because expectations are a two-way street, right? You communicate what you expect to provide, and patients, through this tech, you can understand what they expect to receive. And when everything is clear, experience theory tells us that you will definitely have, in the long run, actually in the short run even, better experiences as a whole. But yeah, I can send you the papers. Let me just write here my email and put it in the chat, in which you can find more information on that. I'd be happy to send it to you.
Great. Thank you so much for that great question, Dave. Unfortunately, we are running a bit of short time, but I see we have some really great questions coming through for Rainier. So Rainier, what I will do is I will share these questions with you, and then we can always share those answers at a later stage with our participants and our audience, because I believe, the answers there are really important, and I see some really great ones coming about inspiration for their futures. So really exciting questions. So I'll be sure to share those with you, and then we can share those answers.
Perfect. Sorry that I took a bit longer than expected. I recorded myself many times, and I think I just got excited and talk a bit more. Well, guys, if you have any questions, also please feel free to send it to me as well. If you have other questions, sorry, feel free to send it to me. I'm active in my email, in social media, and even in WhatsApp. So thank you, Jess. Thank you, Teens and AI, for the opportunity, and thank you all for paying attention and just being here and doing the work that you do or that you expect to do in the future. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Rainier. It is so appreciated, your time and your expertise. Yeah, I personally learned a lot, and I'm sure everyone on the call did. So thank you so much. Building on that incredible potential of AI to transform healthcare, let's take a moment to shift gears and explore how the same technology, AI, can be used to shape career opportunities around the world. Our next speaker is here, and she is going to guide us through the dynamic landscape of finance and AI and show us how individuals can capitalize on their skills and interests to be part of the revolution. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Jolnar Assi, a leading expert with a unique background in quantitative research, edtech, and AI machine learning training. Dr. Assi will take us on a journey through the world of AI-powered finance, showing us how it's driving customer centricity, automating processes, and transforming the financial landscape. Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Assi. The floor is yours.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Jess, for this lovely introduction. I hope everyone is well today and looking forward to the talk on finance and AI. Sorry. Okay, so I'll start with a very simple introduction. Imagine having affordable, tailored financial advice at your fingertips, or getting an instant loan approval, or if there is some fraudulent activity in your bank account or credit card, you know instantaneously about it and it's stopped automatically. The horizon is unlimited, and the opportunities are endless. So AI in finance is unlocking once unimaginable possibilities. And it's largely really driven by the need for innovation and efficiency. So players in the financial landscape are rapidly integrating AI models into various functions and processes. And it is actually fueled by big data. Banks, financial institutions are really sitting on vast amounts of data. And so far, they have only utilized a very small fraction of it. In addition to that, advancement in other technology are actually accelerating this process, and they're helping AI in transforming and sometimes even disrupting the finance industry as we know it. It does hold the promise of more exciting future growth opportunities in the form of personalized experiences. For example, suppose I am a bank manager. I notice that customer A is frequenting a particular restaurant. So I might suggest a product, a credit card product, for example, based on what customer B has taken out, let's say. Or if I notice customer A travels to a particular area on daily basis or travels on vacation, during particular times of the year, I might propose some sort of insurance, travel insurance or what have you, that customer could actually benefit from. And for a long period of time, this hasn't really been possible. And at times where it may have been possible, it hasn't necessarily been accurate and really personalized. This has been made possible by AI. Something else that AI has really brought to the table is increased financial security. And how is that so? AI models have proven to be quite proficient at, for example, fraud identification. It is possible for AI models to analyze patterns and then to detect an anomaly, let's say in payment, and then flag this transaction as a fraudulent transaction, let's say. We will later see how AI can also be used, let's say, in anti-money laundering or KYC, know your customer. And most importantly, AI has made financial services accessible, especially for the underserved. There are people in certain parts of the world who would have to travel miles and miles to get to a bank branch, for example. That is, if they can do so. And that's obviously not feasible. However, AI has really sped up and contributed immensely to digitalization in banking. And so financial services are accessible to a wider strata of the population now, wherever they are. Companies are also continuously looking towards AI to enhance customer experience, because obviously a customer who would receive, let's say, personalized advice, personalized products, personalized marketing campaigns is definitely a more satisfied customer. And this translates into customer retention or even customer conversion from other financial institutions. AI has been instrumental at automating processes. There are quite a number of mundane or routine tasks at banks and financial institutions in general, insurance companies, which AI has been able to take over. And that means there is arguably more accuracy, less error prone, but most importantly, it has freed up a lot of human resources who now can work on more complex tasks, on doing more interesting things, on being more creative. AI has also been great at reducing costs, and as a result, there has been an increase in operational efficiency. And as we will see later as well, AI has been very helpful at assessing risks, various types of risks, as we will see. So having made this brief introduction, let's now delve into the exciting world of AI-powered finance. We'll take a sneak peek into how AI is being harnessed in banking, financial services, and insurance. The boundaries are slightly blurred between financial services and banking, or financial services and insurance. In all cases, we will look at how AI is enhancing the customer journey and how it is driving profitability. Okay. Before I actually start going into key applications in the financial sector, I'd like to share with you this a bit of statistics, which is a part of a report that has been prepared by NVIDIA, and you can find the link at the bottom of the screen. Every year, NVIDIA prepares a state of AI in financial services, and I believe this is the most recent one, the 2023 trends in using AI in financial services. So as you can see, the biggest share so far goes to natural language processing and to large language models. I am sure you have been exposed in one way or another through ChatGPT or what have you, whether we're aware of it or not. Natural language processing and large language models are actually around us, and they are doing a lot of the background work that we cannot see. For example, in banking, they can be used to go through to make sure that the bank is compliant with regulatory with the regulatory framework, for example. So it can go through various documents. It can go through large text sheets or documents or what have you, or booklets or what have you. It can identify gaps. It can make sure that the bank is actually compliant with any new regulation that has been produced either now or in the past. AI is being used for recommender systems. I have given a very simple example at the beginning, whereby AI uses either the customer behavior, past behavior, current behavior, what other customers who are doing something similar to this customer are doing, and then they would recommend, let's say, a product or a service. Other applications, as you can see, portfolio optimization, fraud detection, as I have mentioned earlier, is very important also in AI. For example, AI models can train on transactions on vast amounts of data containing historical transaction records, payments. They can train on customer profiles. Whenever the AI model can identify or does identify an anomaly, it can report it straight away. And in certain scenarios, it is possible to actually combine or integrate AI tools with other systems at the banks, which would, for example, shut down, let's say, lock a bank or lock a bank account or lock a credit card statement, let's say, when it identifies an anomaly, and so on and so forth. I will leave it to you to go through it. It's actually quite interesting, but we will go into a majority of those applications during this talk. Okay, so without further ado, let's go into the key AI applications in the financial sector. Sorry, if you bear with me for a minute. Okay. So let's start with banking first. There are plenty of use cases of AI and AI models in the banking sector. And so we will look at some of the most common applications. There are other applications, and new applications are constantly emerging. But it's good to have a brief overview of what's currently used the most. So to start with, I have mentioned risk assessment, and there are various applications of using AI to assess risks at a bank. It is possible to use AI models to establish credit scores, for example. So in this case, what happens is that the AI model is trained on a lot of, sometimes thousands, hundreds of thousands, or what have you, of historical transactions. And those historical transactions are actually put together with other data. For example, it is possible to look at the level of education. It's possible to look at the occupation, past and present debt, how frequently that customer has paid off a loan, let's say, how much interest do they pay on their loans, what other payments they are actually committed to, they are obliged to pay every single month, for example. And then based on that, the AI model would return a credit score, which means how creditworthy this customer is, for example. It is possible also to support with credit decision making, whether a particular customer can actually take out a particular loan characterized by a horizon or interest rate or what have you. Moreover, what the AI model would actually produce, in the sense, the way it identifies patterns, the way it analyzes patterns, what it returns based on that, can be used by bank managers to facilitate the credit decision making. Something else AI models do is that they automate mundane tasks, as I've mentioned at the beginning of the talk. So they automate routine tasks, which usually take time, analyzing probably loan applications or going through text, as we have mentioned, try to extract information from this text which is relevant for credit decision making. Obviously, all of the above contributes to faster loan application processing time and a happier customer and a more efficient process at the financial institution, at the bank. The other application is conversational AI. With conversational AI, the AI model would simulate human conversation. So in this case, the AI model would interact with the customer, let's say, in a human-like way. It would understand and it would respond in human-like language. This type of application is used a lot in chatbots. It's used in virtual assistants. They are available 24/7. They are able to help a customer, for example, in for filling information, for giving them more information, filling in forms, various other tasks which usually humans used to do. And they're able to AI is able to automate this and to free up the human employees to do something which would derive more customer satisfaction. And as a result, it's possible to engage customers more. And as I've mentioned, to automate plenty of tasks at hand. Another very important application, which I have already also talked about briefly, is fraud detection. AI models have contributed a lot to improved AML, which is anti-money laundering, and to a better KYC, which is know your customer. And so as I've mentioned earlier, they're able to identify patterns and they're able to point anomalies and to analyze as much data as needed or as the bank have. And based on that, they are able to point or to pick or to spot a transaction which can be fraudulent or a transaction which might embody some money laundering or what have you. And one thing that AI models are particularly clever at are the real-time threat identification. So based on what the model has studied or has trained on, so to speak, it will be able to identify an unusual transaction, for example, in a bank account or in a credit card payment, let's say. And then, as we've mentioned, notify automatically some other system, which would shut down straight away or lock that bank account or lock that credit card statement. Okay. Another application is the personalized financial advice. This is particularly interesting because it has really democratized wealth management. Now, wealth management advice is actually available to a wider strata of the population. People who have never had the chance to actually receive any personalized wealth management are now able to access it in the form of, for example, customized products, let's say, which are in line with an investor's investment goal or time horizon or risk profile. And it is possible to produce tailored services which are based, as I've mentioned, on the investor's risk profile or investment goals or investment horizon. Okay. Okay. Moving on, there are actually further applications of AI in banking, which is why it's so exciting to be in this domain and at this moment in time, because the opportunities are really unlimited, and it's very interesting to be part of such an exciting growth era for AI in banking. Sorry. Okay, for financial services. So again, as I've mentioned, the boundaries are slightly blurred between financial services and banking. So there are some things which you might see here, which can be offered also by investment banks. So to start with, one of the important applications have been automated investing. You may have heard of robo-advisory, which are algorithmic systems that automate investment decisions using AI. And they are usually driven by investment goals and risk profile of the particular customer. The whole system is fully automated. And as part of the job of a robo-advisor is to continuously monitor and rebalance portfolios. And robo-advisors are a particular category of products which did make investing accessible to a lot of people. Another application in the financial services is the AI-driven market analysis. This is largely done by highly sophisticated systems. Algorithmic trading and high-frequency trading are usually powered by AI. What such systems do, what such algorithmic systems do is that they are fully automated and they employ AI-powered market analysis tools, and they automate trading strategies utilizing AI. So the high-frequency trading systems are sometimes considered a subset of algorithmic trading, and they just the lifetime of a trade is like few seconds only. And to be able to accomplish something like this and to be able to automate the trading strategies, AI has actually been used to speed up the process and to help with the trading strategies. Another application is lending. A very interesting outcome of the technological era that we're living in is that we have something called peer-to-peer lending platforms. The interesting thing about peer-to-peer lending platforms is that they try to eliminate the middleman, so to speak. So the borrower and the lender are brought together on some type of a platform which is completely online. And these types of platforms actually use AI-powered risk assessment, which improves the eligibility eligibility for loan approvals, because they are able, AI models are able to look at data, to consider data, and to analyze data, which normally has been quite challenging to take into account using previous systems. And as a result, this has allowed faster loan approvals. Another application of that falls within this domain, and which I have touched upon also in banking, is the AI-driven credit scoring. AI-driven credit scoring is also employed by such platforms, and they do improve the accuracy and they reduce the bias, because as I have mentioned, some types of data which in the past have not been possible to use are now being incorporated, and they are contributing to the final decision as well. AI also helps in loan underwriting in the form of support, and this reduces fraud and optimizes also the loan terms so that it suits the counterparty or the borrower, as well as the lender, of course. All in all, this has contributed to a more efficient loan application process. And finally, or actually last but not least, because there are definitely many more applications of AI in the financial services, in the realm of payments, AI-powered order routing through payment rails have been taking off, whereby AI decides on the best network, for example, or the best route that a particular payment should follow. Same thing for orders, for example, which best channel to go to. Also, AI models have been used to assess the creditworthiness of buyers who wish to obtain a buy now, pay later solutions. Some of us are familiar with the buy now, pay later solutions, which are available on plenty of e-commerce websites. And these are mostly run by AI models, or at least the creditworthiness is assessed by AI models. Finally, AI-driven insights from transaction data, as I have mentioned earlier, AI models really rely so much on the transaction data that's being fed to it. And this transaction data is constant, it can include any type of data that the model developer or trainer is actually looking to include. And then based on that, AI models produce some predictive analysis, which management can use to suggest personalized offerings. Sometimes the AI model itself can make the suggestions, and in addition to fraud detection, which we have discussed in plenty of details so far. The third area in the financial sector that I'd like to mention as well is insurance. So insurance has also been one of the domains in the financial sector which has benefited from AI models and AI advancements in general. There are plenty of applications. Again, I will mention 3 of them in this talk. So to start with, the automated claims processing. AI predictive insights would leverage various types of data, identify gaps, and then feed all of this into risk assessment models, which in turn allow management to create new competitive insurance products, and they allow more risk coverage. Yeah. And AI-led automation can also enhance back-end processes. So it would automate tasks. It would make sure that costs are reduced, operational efficiency is increasing, and so processing time is reduced. Error is minimized as well because it's being automated. The processes are being automated, but one has to be careful that the AI models need training all the time and need maintenance all the time. And anyway, as a result of employing AI, human employees are now free to work on more complex tasks, for example. Okay. Underwriting is another domain which has benefited from AI. AI models improve risk assessment. They analyze data from different sources, and they provide a 360-degree view of the customer. As a result, this allows the creation of customized insurance products, personalized risk profiles, and more accurate pricing. For example, it is possible to combine AI with Internet of Things, for example, and monitor the driving of customers subject to their consent. And based on that, the insurance company can propose a suitable insurance product. For example, a customer who turns out to be a safe driver might get an insurance product which is cheaper than someone else who tends to speed or have like tickets or what have you more frequently. Okay. And finally, I'd like also to mention the role of conversational AI in insurance, very similarly to that in banks. Insurance companies can employ chatbots and virtual assistants which can understand natural language and respond in a conversational way to provide customer support, guide customers through routine processes, assist with claims management, fill in new claim forms, what have you. All of this has enhanced the customer experience and improved the operational efficiency. I'll have to rush, I think, a little bit because I'm running a bit over time. So now we'll talk about benefits and challenges of AI in finance. As you may have gathered by now, AI in finance has promised an enhanced customer experience, and it has delivered it. How is that so? Through chatbots and virtual assistants, customized marketing campaigns. It is possible for AI, for example, to analyze the behavior of customers on social media and to determine how best to target them with marketing campaigns, or analyze the spending habits of customers and decide how to offer and what type of products to offer to these customers. It's also possible to use AI to come up with predictive product suggestions, personalized products. We have discussed all of these so far. Another important benefit of AI is improved operational efficiency. Because AI is able to automate routine tasks, it is able to perform fast analysis of large data sets and to produce predictive product suggestions in a short period of time has resulted in time efficiency and obviously has reduced costs. The fact that it has that AI is automating mundane tasks has resulted in reduction in manual labor, in moving human employees to doing something that probably adds more value to the financial institution. Another source of reduced costs, so to speak, comes really from the early detection of potential fraud. Just the mere fact that a bank is able to lock a credit card because AI has flagged an anomaly means that this customer will not end up losing a lot of money just in case, fraudulent activity takes it as far as trying to use this credit card, for example, in plenty of places. Likewise, for bank accounts that are targeted by hackers or by crime. And another very important application has been optimization of advertising expenses. Because now the bank or the financial institution is able to target the customer better through marketing campaigns on particular social media or particular recommended venues, they will cut costs on advertising in places which are irrelevant for the customer. And all of this has obviously led to increased profitability. Competitive advantage as well is an important thing because in an increasingly digital first world, a bank which is invested in AI or a financial institution which is invested in AI boasts a leading edge over competition for the reasons that we have already seen so far. We have also discussed better risk management, default prediction, credit AI models, for example, are very good at credit default predictions. And these are one of the most popular applications nowadays and which can be built as sophisticated as one would want, but they can also be built from, the comfort of one's home. Early fraud identification, as we've discussed, improved credit scoring, and money laundering detection. We have already discussed all of these various points. All of this eventually leads to better decision-making. So AI harnesses big data. We've mentioned that AI is able to train on plenty of data, be it in quantity or quality. And based on that, they're able to formulate predictive insights. They can simulate, AI models can simulate potential outcomes. And they obviously, as we have seen, can optimize resources. How AI is going to shape the future of work? I don't think anybody can know for sure for now, but at least we know that it is indeed channeling human focus to higher level tasks, to more complex tasks. And as a result, this is fostering creativity and critical thinking, and at the same time encouraging human-centric skills, for example, such as empathy, which AI models so far lack. Finally, I'd like to discuss challenges of AI in finance very briefly. There are plenty of challenges of AI in finance, as it is the case in other disciplines as well. For example, to start with, talent acquisition and retention. Financial institutions, banks, insurance companies, what have you, are facing challenges in attracting, developing, and keeping AI experts and data scientists. We often hear that there are many more vacancies for AI jobs or data science, which are not easy to fill in. And then even after those people join, even after a company is able to recruit AI experts and data scientists, it's not that easy to actually retain them because there is so much competition. Financial data challenges, apart from data privacy, the limitations in data quality and quantity can cripple model accuracy and reliability because AI models are highly dependent on the type of data that's being fed to them. So, for example, one common problem is the imbalanced data issue, whereby the data set would be clearly biased towards one particular class. This means that it would have many more observations about a particular class and much less about another class. For example, it might have a lot more data on, let's say, males taking high wealth products, for example, as opposed to females. So when the AI model trains on such a data set, and then it's supposed to perform some predictive analysis, the outcome is going to be biased and it's going to be discriminatory in this case. Another issue is the fact that sometimes data tends to be siloed and fragmented. So you'd have different departments keeping their own data. And the data is fragmented across different departments. The problem in this case is that will complicate model training, model analysis, and model maintenance later on. Legacy infrastructure is another huge issue, and sometimes it is hindering or at least slowing the adoption of AI. The reason for that is that the core technology at a bank or a financial institution can be inadequate and outdated. And so it is not easy really to retire it or to try to modernize these systems. Finally, ethical concerns, and we can spend an hour discussing ethical concerns. Some of the issues are fairness and bias concerns due to the dependence on data. I've given an example already. Accountability concerns because an AI model has a lot of players. It is a very complex supply chain. You have developers, you have the people who collect the data, you have the people who train the model. If something goes wrong, who's to blame? Explainability issues, and that AI models are frequently perceived as black boxes, and it's not very easy to explain the results. There are some metrics now that are being used to explain AI models. Safety implications due to the vagueness around model reliability and accuracy are also an issue. And a very important issue with or a challenge of AI in finance is the ESG fallout. Unfortunately, AI models are huge energy consumers, and they do actually contribute to a considerable amount of carbon emissions. There are plenty of other challenges as well, and plenty of benefits. And AI in finance is has a very wide scope. But I hope in this presentation, I have been able to give you a brief overview of some of the most important elements in this domain. If you have any questions, I don't know if I still have any time for questions.
We are a bit over time, but if you are still available, we have had some questions come through, so I'd be more than happy to share those with you.
Sure.
Great. Thank you so much, first of all, for that talk. I think it was very interesting, and it's great to see how AI plays a role in the things that we use every day without even realizing it. Perfect. Then we get started with the questions. So our first one, how can AI help us make more informed, minimal financial risk decisions?
Okay, so with AI, what you'd need to do is that, first of all, you'd need to determine the problem that you're trying to solve. AI models are driven by the problem you're trying to solve and the data that's available for you. So you cannot, for example, why is this important? Because we cannot apply or employ an AI model which is not suitable for for a particular problem that we have at hand. Let's take a very simple example. If we're trying to figure out whether a client is going to default on a loan or not, we cannot use a linear regression model. We might use a logistic regression model, for example. And then the type of data that we include is actually very important to the final outcome. So to answer your question, this is highly problem dependent and data dependent. And then based on that, you can use the suitable model and train the parameters accordingly.
Great. Our next question, what are the inherent biases of AI when it comes to the quicker loans and how do we mitigate them?
Okay, that's a very good question. Again, that depends on the data and the model itself. It is possible that the data is not representative enough. It is possible that the data set has an imbalance issue. So it is possible that you would have observations about a particular category, like you have more records about a particular category or a particular class than you have about other categories. And then if you have a customer which belongs to one of the other categories, there will be bias against them. And then it is possible that they may not get a loan unfairly so, or it is possible that they may get a loan when they shouldn't have received that loan. And so that results in a loss. How to mitigate them? First of all, one needs to ensure that they have a data set which is a proper representative, and then make sure that one is using a suitable model, and the model is actually being trained well on parameters and enough on historical data and constantly being updated.
Great. I hope that answers your question. So a next question, based on your experience, what skills and qualifications are most sought after in the field of finance and AI?
That's a very good question. So as I've mentioned, there are a multitude of players in the supply chain and for AI model training or what have you. So you have the people who collect data, you have the data scientists who work through this data. About 80% of the time spent on developing an AI model is actually spent on data. Now, there are platforms those days which automate the whole data manipulation and data processing operations, but I think if you want to have a large operation and to rely on decisions to rely on the model to make major decisions, then you will need to have at least a certain proficiency as a data scientist. There are people who would train the AI model itself. There are people who would develop the AI model. And AI models also require maintenance. They require monitoring after deploying them. So it really depends where you find yourself. You could be an IT person who would enjoy doing the IT stuff, I don't know, from cloud hosting to what have you. You could be the person who's interested in modeling, and the actual modeling, as in developing the actual AI models that will be trained. You could be the data scientist who simply likes to work with data.
Great. Unfortunately, we are quite short on time, so I'm going to have to cut the Q&A there, but it was really great. And thank you so much for your insights. And it's clear that you are very passionate about this work, and it's so great to hear your experiences within the field. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to give this talk.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Assi, and to Rainier for your time today. Both of your talks have inspired valuable conversations and left us with lots to think about. To all our attendees from this evening, thank you for your active participation and your thoughtful questions. Get ready to join us tomorrow to be inspired by exciting talks with Helen Baker and Jeff Gates. Tomorrow we'll be discussing Inspire Inclusion, and we'll be learning about how we can collectively empower women to create a more inclusive world. Until then, enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.